Post-election market. That's a new word that's being used by local investors and realtors who are observing a shift in the market sentiment after the recent Canadian election results. And the May data for Greater Toronto Area just came out. Let's take a look at the data and better understand what is this post-election market we're talking about. Hi everyone, Ina here. So today we wanted to take a deeper dive into the May data. If you look on the screen, basically this is a side-by-side between May and April, and we'll see that sales for May is 6,244 transactions happened. And that is down from last year, of course, down 13%, but it's actually up a little bit from April, the months before, 5,600. Okay, so that's an interesting point. Some people are saying, hey, market is getting better, but I'll show you why it's not quite. And from new listing perspective, we see that there's a lot more sellers still putting their properties on the market actively. New sellers coming to market, trying to sell their properties. 21,000 of them, actually 22,000 of them. Last year was 19,000 this time, so 14% year over year. But even comparing to last month, we know April was a slow month already, a lot of sellers, and April only had 18,000, okay? So May had 21,000, a record-breaking high volume of new sellers. So that's something to be worth noting because more sellers means generally bad market. And active listing as a result, you see we have 21,000 sellers but only 6,000 buyers. So active listing gotta keep going up, right? 31,000 active new listing, and that is historically high. I've never seen that number reaching 30, right? I've never seen that. So this is a record high. And last month in April was only 27,000, right? So another 10% up in terms of active listing, and that's competition between all the sellers just getting more fierce. Compared to last year, this time 21,000 is a 42% year over year. So in terms of price, which everybody cares about more, right? Average price is 1.12 million, and that comparing to same time last year is down 4%, okay? And that's on average. That includes like condos and detached homes, everything, right? So keep in mind, and that 4%, it's a lot of money, and for the bigger properties, probably that percentage is even higher, right? And dollar amount is big, so that's why a lot of sellers are not getting what they want today. And but one thing worth noting is that some people say May data was improvement, May trending better, and I'll show you why that's wrong, okay? What they are basing on, why some people say May data is better, because they're looking at the May average price and they're looking at the April average price. You can see April is 1.10, May is 1.12. Okay, there seemed to be a $10,000-$20,000 increase on the average price from April to May, right? So average price went up. But is it really? Like, is it actually went up, or is some kind of data noise? I'll show you why the price actually did not go up, and quite opposite, the price actually went down for most properties. In terms of days on market, this year, obviously more takes longer to sell compared to last year. 25 days versus 19 days. Compared to last month, it's still about the same. Despite the market generally being slow, I wouldn't say the market has no interest, right? I mean, there are 6,200 buyers made a transaction. So there are buyers who's looking. In fact, between June 1st to now, right? Today is June 6th when we're filming this video. We've already made like sold five properties this month, made 5 deals, almost like one per day, right? And you can see this is some of the properties we just sold. These are like a Mississauga condo, for example. This is a Scarborough semi-detached. And last night I just sold a condo in Richmond Hill. And there's a couple more condos downtown which we bought for a client and actually sold for another client, right? So there's actually transactions being made right now, but there is a common theme is that the pricing, despite us wanting to claim that, hey, we sold for the best price possible in the history, but the reality is for these transactions, for these listings that we can sell, we're doing as best as we can to get the best price we can get in today's market. But for these sale prices, if we compare it to last year, or even comparing to like January, February this year, we're actually down, right? And these sellers who are choosing to sell, they actually accept the fact that today the prices are down and they're willing to sell based on today's market pricing. And plus our marketing efforts, open houses, we're able to attract offers. Like for example, this one, we got 4 offers, right? And we're able to negotiate effectively and get the top price that we can get based on today's market. But is that the best price comparing to, like, say, same time last year? No, right? So people can see, and the seller can see that, and they believe that they need to sell. We're going to sell today. We're going to accept the best price we can get today, and they're happy with it. So that's the key, right? So there's more sellers are willing to concede, right? More sellers are willing to work with the market after the election than before the election. Because before the election, there was a lot of hope, right? Even at the end of last year, the sellers are more hopeful because the interest rate were going down at the end of last year, right? So sellers last year were hoping that, okay, 2025, we're gonna have a strong spring market. Our price should go up. Therefore, they're more hopeful, they're more confident, and they're not willing to let their property go for cheap. So therefore, you see real estate price last year, 2024, October, November was actually quite strong. And coming spring market, we see that there's no spring market, right? We didn't actually observe the spring market. So there was people putting hopes on the Canadian election to see, okay, maybe the election will make some changes and give us a better outlook going forward, right? So there's more people being hopeful in that front. And after the election, I mean, I'm not here to discuss politics. I have no political preference on this channel one way or another. We're just stating the fact that there's more sellers who are disappointed with the election results, and they feel like that there's not a lot of hope, like looking forward, right? They feel like the economy is in a bad shape, the politicians are fighting every day, the tariffs are still uncertain, their impact, and we're starting to see some of that impact, job losses. And for both the Canadian and the US government, there's still 3-4 years of term left to be. So there's not a lot of good things or things that we can hope for. And even June 4th, like this past Wednesday, some people were hoping for a rate drop, right? The interest rate keep dropping, but it didn't. It didn't actually happen. So people are just getting less and less patient and less hopeful, and therefore more and more sellers are willing to let their property go for a price point that they were not willing to sell before. So that's what we call the post-election market. Okay, so I mean that's a long explanation, but I also wanted to show you the actual data charts this month. So what we just saw is that here you can see the sales, we're at 6.2, right? So last month was at 5.6. So this is an increase in number of sales, which, like I said, is mostly because there's more sellers willing to let their property go. But you're asking, hey, that's not right. This average price, you can see average price, looks like it's actually trending up. So shouldn't properties be selling better, selling for more money? And I'll tell you why that's not true in a second. And in terms of new listing, we can see that it keeps going up, right? The number of new listing, we're at a very high point. An active listing, crazy 31,000. You'll see that even if we take out all the other years, this is 10 years active listing, 10 years of active listing, highest point right now, and it's not even like close to any other year. It's just beating everybody else by like so far that nothing else can compare, right? So that's the problem we're seeing today. So you're asking me why the price seems to be going up, and let me show you. You can see this price going up, but if you look at more specific data points, let's say we break it down by property types, okay? Let's look at the biggest market, detached market. If you look at the detached market, you can see that May had more transactions than April, okay? So May had 3,000 detached properties sold. April had 2,600. So May had 400 more detached properties sold in May. However, average price for detached is actually down, actually lower, right? So we can see that for detached market, the price is not going up. And in fact, it's not even fluctuating. It's like consistently from February, it's down, down, and down again. Okay, 3 months makes a trend. So we can see that detached price is going down. And let's say for condos. For condos, we can see that the price is fluctuating, but it's not really going anywhere, right? It's pretty flat. Here you can see that the difference between condo and detached is the increase in condo sales. It's so little. It's from 1,430 to 1,482. Okay, so only sold 52 more condos. This month compared to last month, we only sold 50 more condos. But we sold 400 more detached, okay? And detached average price is much higher. So statistically, when we sell a lot more of something more expensive, average price will go up because you're selling the expensive detached more often in a comparative ratio-wise, right? So it's a bigger portion, bigger ratio of sales that are detached in this month. That's why you see the price goes up. But in reality, when you're looking at specific property types, it's actually not going up, okay? Price is not going up. And if you look at the semi-detached, for example, average price is actually, it's very flat. It's not really going up like they said. And for townhouses, you can see May, it's actually going down, right? From 1,005,000 to 996. So in general, you don't see that upward trend from any property types. It's just the average of them makes the average price go up. So it's just a data noise. But I mean, a good news is that you can see townhouse, we're actually making a lot of sales. So there's more sales in townhouse than last year, which is a good sign. For semi-detached, you can see that it's just reached the same point as last year, right? So semi-detached is good. So semi-detached and townhouse, in terms of sales, there's actually more transactions, but the price is not really going up. Point we have to understand. And the reason sales are going up is because, like I mentioned, there's more sellers willing to accept today's price. Okay, back then, even in February, March, sellers were still not accepting. They were hopeful. Their hopeful future will be better. Therefore, they're holding on to a better price. Now, people are selling. Some of them I would even call a little bit of panic selling, right? So just remember, that's what I mean by a post-election market. More sellers are selling in a more panicking mindset. Okay, so that's what's happening. For condos, you can see that sales is a lot lower than last year, right? Which is understandable. Condos are going to be tough for a while because there's more pre-construction projects closing this year, and next year there's still a lot closing too. So this year and next year there's a lot of new inventory coming to market, right? Which will make condo market tougher. And detached is actually getting closer to last year's level, right? You can see that there's no shortage of buyers trying to make a deal. It's just the sellers didn't want to make a deal. But now as sellers more and more they're dropping the price and want to make a deal, we're actually making more transactions. So in a way, in that sense, it's a little bit better from a buyer perspective. Now, more buyers are trying and actually getting what they want. But at the same time, there's more sellers freaking out and putting their property on the market and making the active listing inventory keeps going up, right? Which is not a good sign. So it's a balance. And right now, the buyers are winning. So we have to really observe the behavior of these buyers because honestly, at this point, sellers are too many to even count, okay? Right now, the data analysis we should focus on is who are these buyers, where are they buying the properties, and which regions are actually doing better, attracting more of these buyers, because that's the key. Sellers everywhere, there's a ton of sellers. I don't even think the sellers are we need to even analyze them too deeply anymore, because just everywhere there's a lot of sellers. But these buyers, we need to analyze them closely, and that's a future video. We're going to talk about that. So last thing I want to show you in this video is basically the month of inventory and sales to new listing ratios, right? And you can see that on the screen, sales to new listing is at a historically low, right? And months of inventory 7.1 for condos, historically high. And the sold to listing price ratio, basically, if you ask for 1 million, how much is it sold, right? We're at 97. So 1 to 97 ratio, which is historically low. For condos, years in December, we've never reached such a low number, right? 97. This means that discount from the asking price, so that means there's no bidding war, and properties that are sold are getting the heaviest discount from asking price in history, okay, for condos. Biggest discount from asking price at 97 right now on average. Days on market is at the historically high 33 days, and months of inventory at 7 months, okay? So that's for condos. And for detached right now, we can see that sales to new listing ratio is also lowest, 0.29 versus condo at 0.24, I think. So detached a little bit better than condo, but still the lowest of all the years. And then detached right now at 0.98, which is similar to 2018 and 2020, right? Condos is at the lowest point. Detached is kind of similar to the other slow years. Months of inventory for detached is also 4.6 at the highest, but still lower than condos. Condo is 7, detached is 4.6, right? Months of inventory. And days on market, detached right now is at 23 days. Condos is at 35 days. So condos takes half, like 50% more time to sell, okay? So that's all I want to share today. Next video, we're going to share more in depth of where the buyers are going. So stay tuned. Until next time. Ciao.